Welcome back to Riley Everyday as we keep counting down through the top 5 storylines across the power conferences. Next up, we have the SEC, a league coming off of a banner year just loaded with talented rosters. And checking in at number 5, what does Labaron Philon's return mean for Alabama? So a year ago on our Draft-a-Palooza show, we interviewed former Alabama forward Grant Nelson, and talking to him about the offseason and the early practices, he specifically mentioned Philon as the player who had impressed him the most. Now, at the time, the consensus view of Philon was a potential pro, but one who needed development. He wasn't a bona fide 5-star stud. Instead, he was this top 40 kid with high upside. Thus, Nelson's answer landed as a surprise, and frankly, I thought it was lip service. But then the season started. Philon proved very quickly he had the goods. He came out firing and scored in double figures in 8 of Alabama's first 11 games. And in 2 of those contests, he logged 9 assists. It became very clear he had potential as a true lead guard, one who could both score and facilitate. And I can't stress this point enough. There were times early on where All-American Mark Sears deferred to Philon. That spoke volumes to me. In fact, I saw it in person myself when Alabama shellacked UNC in Chapel Hill. It was a game that the Tide led wire to wire, and Philon set the tone. Now, as league play started, he endured some ups and downs. Nothing really out of the ordinary for a freshman, but struggles around the rim and cold shooting nights took a hammer to his scoring average. And yet, if you watch Alabama's games, you could tell that he possessed a gear that no other guard on the roster had. His burst, his change of pace, his handles, all of those looked like that of an NBA player. And thus, it made it even more surprising when he withdrew from the draft in the final hours before the deadline. And his return provides some star power to an Alabama roster that desperately needs it. They don't quite have the guys that they've had in recent years. So now, what can fans expect in year 2? So just surveying Alabama's backcourt, Philon should rank toward the top of the SEC in usage rate. A season ago, 66% of his made shots were unassisted, which put him in the 87th percentile, and the Tide will desperately need his shot creation this year. Now, a guy like Aiden Holloway had a breakout 2025, made 87 threes at a 41% clip, but I still view him as more of a secondary scorer. And then a guy like Jalil Bethea is another guard to watch. Could see a Holloway-like bump transferring in from Miami, but again, I think he will be at his best when he plays off of Philon. The sophomore guard should be able to collapse a defense, and then when you have both Holloway and Bethea waiting for those catch-and-shoot opportunities, it could be very, very hard to guard. And then looking at the front court, both Taylor Bowen and Aiden Sherrell are more role-playing bigs. Both can pick and pop, and both can operate as hyper-athletic lob threats. They should finish a ton of plays that Philon creates, but neither will do much on their own. It just further underlies the importance of the sophomore guard. So, how might Philon answer the bell? Well, for one, he must improve as a finisher. This kid gets to the rim at will, but last year during SEC play, he made just 51% of his shots at the basket, which put him in the 21st percentile. Now, I attribute a lot of those struggles to his slight frame. He was listed at under 180 pounds, so it's not exactly surprising that physicality bothered him some. But ahead of year 2, you expect him to have bulked up and just have a better understanding of angles and what he needs to do to score. Now, some of it also involves being a little bit craftier. I think he has great touch on his floater and his push shot, so I bet we see him get to his in-between game a little bit more this year. He needs to clean up his three-point shot as well, but honestly, I view this as a smaller concern. He shot better in league play than he did in the non-con, which was still 33%, so not great, but not terrible. There's something to work with there. The form isn't the prettiest, but I also just trust this staff to fix any mechanical or confidence issues. You look at someone like Mark Sears, his second year in the program, he went from a 34% shooter to a 43% shooter. Oates and Co., they've just earned the benefit of the doubt. So a few weeks ago, Greg and I talked about our top 10 players for the upcoming season, and Philon was comfortably in mine. He's my number 1 breakout player with a bullet. He has all of the physical tools, plus word out of Alabama is he's the most competitive guy on the roster. You see it on the court, though. When you watch him play, he just competes harder than everyone else on the floor. I would have taken him with a first-round draft pick had I been a GM, but it just shows what type of lift he will give to the Tide.